Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the all-new BMW M5 CS. With that being said, let's get into it. Let's go over the M5 CS. So first off, under the hood, we have a twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8. Goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's good for 627 horsepower and then 553 pound-feet of torque. So a pretty monstrous setup. You guys can see with the carbon fiber accenting there on the hood, it looks fantastic. And you guys are probably wondering if this green is factory. It is in fact a factory paint color. And then you guys can see the accent lights with the projector bulb, super bright. You can see it just completely like destroys the filter on the camera. And then you've got the normal BMW grille. And when I say normal, I should say what used to be normal, because the new normal one is a lot bigger. And then you guys can see the grille down below that. And carbon fiber front splitter, all that fun stuff. And then notice it says M5 CS on it. But yeah, it just looks absolutely amazing. And because of the satin finish on the paint, it looks very, very muscular. Like all the body lines pop out a massive amount. Got the gold wheels, which contrast the green very nicely with the red brake calipers. And look at the size of those brake rotors. Like, pretty crazy. Pretty much fills out the entire wheel. And then you got another M5 CS logo. You guys will see a lot of those because it's one of those cars that, you know what, it's got crazy power and performance, but it also has to do a little bit of badge engineering. And then you guys can see the body lines across the car. I think they look great as well. And again, the tire and wheel set up there in the rear. I love the wheel design, how it's like all open to really show the brake caliper and brake rotor. And then there's your full side view, which it still looks really muscular. Not as crazy as the front end, but it still looks really good. Now, popping here to the rear, you guys notice we got the carbon fiber spoiler there in the back. The BMW logo, another M5 CS badge next to the taillights. And then you guys can see the exhaust tips here at the bottom. Looks really aggressive. The whole diffuser setup looks pretty aggressive and unique overall. And we've, of course, got to see if it's practical. I think this is the trunk that I hit my head on, if I remember right. But you guys can see the storage space there. And I was seeing if there was any like carpeting or anything that I could lift up, and it was not exactly apparent. But yeah, it's got a normal practical trunk. You got the lock feature right there, and then you can just close it like normal. Nothing too crazy going on with that. But again, the rear looks so much more toned down compared to the front. It's like the front is like the business end in terms of the craziness with the aesthetics. Popping the interior, I actually really like the interior on this. So you've got nice leather everywhere. Got the ambient lighting. Got some, carbon fiber trim in certain places. And then you guys can see the contrasted stitching all throughout to kind of match some of the M colors. Got the M badge right there. And then you got the seats, which are very interesting. So really nice, aesthetic, right, with the seats because they're super aggressive. Notice the M colors there on the seat belt. But they are so hard to get into. Like, the bolster is just very high. And the rear seats are very interesting. You feel like, again, they are pretty much bucket seats in the rear, and then you feel it. Got the climate controls there in the back, and I was trying to point out to you guys the bolstering because it's super. You can see I'm kind of like struggling to get out of the car. It's something that if you get this car and you daily drive it, you'll probably get used to it, but it's something to definitely get used to. Again, really nice leather trim here, and then you guys can see like the carbon fiber down below with the ambient lighting, and I think BMW nailed the door panel aesthetic with this car. It looks very premium, and obviously when the touch point's going to feel very premium too. Got blind spot monitoring in the mirrors, another M5 CS badge because you can never have enough. And then you guys can see here with the front bucket seats, and just look how crazy and aggressive they are, and they look like they'd be extremely uncomfortable. But in fact, first off, their power, which is impressive. Usually bucket seats like this are manual with the adjustments. Nice pedal layout, but the seats are actually pretty comfortable, believe it or not. And then you guys can see like the whole setup for the steering wheel and all that. They're hard to get in, but once you're in the seats, they hold you in place really well, obviously, but they feel great. Carbon fiber paddle shifters, and then you guys can see the different M modes that you can set with the car, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of customization with M cars, which is great. Nice leather-wrapped airbag cover, and then the rest of the steering wheel Alcantara, which makes sense because it's supposed to be a performance car. And then you guys can see here with the full digital gauge cluster. Again, it says M5 CS in it. And you can see that it's similar to other BMW models I've reviewed on the channel, which it's a great system. Same thing with the infotainment system. as well. You've got the different drive modes you can go through, and then notice for track you have to keep it pressed, and that'll let you go into the track mode. It takes a second, but once you're in the track mode, that's when things get real crazy, right? As for the rest of the infotainment system, response time's great. You guys know I'm a fan of BMW's infotainment system. I think that it's easy to use, and functionality on it's fantastic. Notice more carbon fiber trim, and then that's for the safety tech, and then you got analog controls for the radio, climate controls as well. It's got dual zone climate, and it also has heated seats. Not air conditioned seats, obviously, but I'm surprised it even had heated seats, to be honest. Got more carbon fiber trim there, and then you guys can see the wireless phone charger, and then you got a couple cup holders in front of that. Got the shifter for the 8-speed automatic, which has a bunch of different functions. It kind of had like a video game feel to it, in my opinion. Like, you know those mouses that have like all the buttons and everything? That's kind of what the shifter reminded me of. And then you guys can see the analog control for the infotainment system, and you guys can see the rest of all the controls here in this little area as well. Got the center console here with nice leather and contrasted red stitching on it. I think it looks great. Notice we got another CS badge right there in the interior. And opening up the glove box, it's normal glove box. Nothing crazy happening with that. And then popping here to the top, had really nice headliner. Obviously kind of expected with this car. You guys can see, I tried to turn up the brightness. But again, not going to get good camera quality when you're in a showroom like this with the top. I did like the design on the lights, because the lights kind of mimicked like BMW taillights there at the top, which I thought was cool. But here's your kind of another side view of the M5 CS. It's a really cool car, and I love the paint color that they did on this particular one. I think that looks really sharp. And then also carbon fiber roof. Forgot to show that earlier, so I decided to show you guys at the end. And then you guys can see the price of the car, or starting price at least. $142,000 for this thing. Freeze the frame if you can read all the other options, but yeah, that's the new BMW M5 CS.